This was a time when everyone, just everyone, was doing the dance craze that was sweeping the country. We were doing the Charleston.
The years moved swiftly by, and the growth and progress of Winters continued. And as each year passed and new generations were born, the gift of heritage was passed on. It was during the 30s that the Winters chapter of Future Farmers of America had the honor of being the first chapter in the state of Texas to receive a charter. The Winters State Bank purchased the First National Bank. The 30s also brought with them some of the darkest days in our nation's history. The price of cotton falls and farmers' wives sell cream and eggs just to pay the bills. All across the country, banks close and businesses suffer. We witnessed the creation of the WPA, the CWA, and CCC camps. The 30s appeared on the scene, and so did the Great Depression. Lines were established to feed our hungry, but nothing could feed our pride. These were hard times indeed.
The 30s in America were dismal years as we reached an all-time low. Sinclair Lewis won the Nobel Prize for Literature, but no one cared. We were too busy trying to exist. It was during this time in our history that marathons became the rage, particularly dance marathons. Money was a grand prize, and everyone needed money, and most were willing to do anything to get it. All you had to do was get a partner, dance, or just move for hours and hours and hours, sometimes days and days. If you lost out on this one, well, you packed up your belongings, picked up your courage, and headed out to the next marathon, got a new partner, and started all over again.
The 40s arrived on the scene, and we here in Winters did not stagnate. We began to pull ourselves out of the slump of the Depression, and we were looking forward to a brighter tomorrow. The 40s, and we remember all too well bundles for Britain, bond drives, tin can collections, food coupons, gasoline rationing, defense savings bonds, USO, gold stars in a window, and that anticipated but unwanted arrival of a telegram from the President of the United States that began with these words, "We regret to inform you." The 40s, a time marked in the pages of our history as the turbulent years of
War. This time, World War II. A war of nations. It began with a nightmare called Pearl Harbor and ended with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And somewhere in between there was a moment of dramatic impact that etched for all times in the memories of Americans everywhere. In between there was Mount Suribachi on the isle called Iwo Jima.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6,
55 of Runnels County's finest lost their lives in service to their country during the war. 15 of these young men came from Winters. In 1949, oil was discovered and Winters would never quite be the same. As time passed, several hundred wells were in operation. The oil industry would create new jobs, increase the population, and boost the economy. The 50s and 60s brought even more growth and prosperity. A number of oil-related businesses were established, and Winters was on its way to becoming a manufacturing center. Once again, our nation was involved in another conflict, this time in Korea. The 60s and the 70s also mean
kids, rock and roll, and a generation gap as wide as the Grand Canyon. The 60s meant funky Broadway, the swim, the stroke, the crawl, and the vocabulary. I always thought you cooked in a pot. Today you smoke it. And the clothes, or should I say threads, in the hair. Well, I'm so confused. Susie, stop that, will you?
I'm not Susie, Dad. I'm Georgie.
See what I mean? Our family has an identity crisis, and it's me. The only thing I'm absolutely sure of is that I'm the man of the house and that I'm the boss around here, and I wear the pants in the family, and
Harold, I'm home, darling. Oh, poor dear. Had a busy day. Kids get on your nerves? Well, you'll have a better day tomorrow at your bridge club. Boy, I'm simply bushed. You just wouldn't believe the day I've had. First, my secretary was late. He said he got stuck in traffic. I tell you, Harold, it is a rat race out there in this world of business. You just don't know how lucky you are just to be a homemaker. I have got to rest. Dear, where are my slippers? And my cigarettes, too. And, oh, yes, I'd like to read the paper. And, by the way, dear, what's for dinner?
Liver. A real woman's liver.
What did you say, dear?
Liver. We're having liver for dinner.
Darling, what time is it?
It's just got to be the 70s.
Yes, the 70s. Ecology, numerology, acid rock, disco fever, sit-in, live-in, love-in, the age of the vitamin, health foods, pay TV, tape decks, protests, X-rated, aggravated, procreated, overrated, better jobs, bigger pay, higher taxes, inflation, deflation, and exasperation. The 70s and the so-called token assistance to Vietnam escalates into a full-scale conflict that our American boys would not be allowed to win. For the remainder of the 70s and into the 80s, Winters continued to grow and prosper. The year is now 1990. Winters keeps pace with the changing times, yet holds on to the values of family, church, community, and country that are so lovingly passed on from generation to generation. 1990, and the Winters Centennial Celebration Committee initiates large plans for a gala birthday bash for our community, the likes of which this area has never seen. This time it is bigger and better because our Winters is 100 years young, and our proud citizens unite to pay an everlasting tribute to our very distinguished heritage during this Winters Centennial year. As time passed, the events of our lives soon became new chapters in the book of destiny. Now, as we review the panorama of our history, it is not to boast. Rather, we are humbled that the past has bequeathed to us a legacy of a rich and vital heritage. It is in that spirit that we greet a new